Get ready for the countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
This is Daniel Smith from Jets Guru. Welcome to the show. All gas, no brakes. Let's go, Jets. Woo!
Sometimes it's important for all of us to know what we can and what we can't do, where our strengths lie. I know it's tough. You run a lot of plays. You've got to fight through it. You have to fight through it.
Petrie on the kickoff, Brad Smith on the return. Smith. Smith could go, and he will! Touchdown Jets, 90 yards!
You head right for the bus if that happens on Saturday night. Right for the bus. I promise you I'd cut you right on the field.
Cutting him right on the field? Yeah. Westhoff is ruthless.
What's going on, Jets Nation? CJ the Painkiller D. Simone here, and you are watching Jets Guru. Now, give it up for your host, Mr. Daniel Smith!
What is going on, Jets Guru Nation? Thank you guys for tuning in once again. As always, the support is absolutely tremendous. Each and every week we're growing. Each and every week we're adding new content and different things that we haven't done before. And it's all thanks to you guys growing the page, pulling articles and videos and talking and communicating. You guys are wonderful. So thank you so much for those tuning in on YouTube. Let's get those subscriptions up. Let's get those follows up on there, because once we get over 200, once we get into December, we're going to give away a free ticket to the Jets game. And guess what, guys? Finally, once again, the Jets tickets are hot commodities in New York, baby. Let's go. New York Jets are 4-2 on a 3-game winning streak. I can't tell you how long that's been. Back-to-back wins. And decisively last week, the Jets put together an excellent win. And we'll get into that shortly when we bring Coach on. But man, isn't this exciting? The New York Jets finally have a winner right now. And it's early and we get it. But you got to celebrate it. Because when your team comes out and puts performances like they did the last 3 weeks, when they're just getting offensive line pieces back, when they're just getting their quarterback coming off an injury, when a lot of these guys have not spent a lot of time together and they're gelling, they're pulling it together, and they might have found themselves a rookie of the year. Listen, if Breece Hall keeps going at it like this and Sauce Gardner keeps going at it like this, you're going to have a battle here for rookie of the year. I mean, this is just amazing, man. You got your defensive rookie of the year, your offensive rookie of the year showing out, and we still have Elijah Moore on deck. We still have Corey Davis on deck. We still have our tight ends on deck. We still have Michael Carter on deck. We still have offensive linemen that are coming back from injury on deck. So everything is looking and trending up for the New York Jets. Like we said before, okay, guys? The Jets they're making it so much easier for them to have a fun December, because when you stack wins early, you're not playing catch up if you lose a couple guys after midseason or if you go on a little bit of the slide. Now you're in a position where if you play complimentary football, you should be in it all the way till the end. And that's all we ask for. We know that the Jets still have time to put this together and grow and gel, but they're ahead of schedule. And I'm not going to let anybody tell me otherwise, because no one picked the Jets to come out and perform like this, and they're learning how to win as a young team, and you can't teach that. You got to go out and do that. With that being said, let's bring Kevin in. Everybody, welcome Coach Mike Westhoff to the group. Thank you, Coach, so much for tuning in once again. It's been a few weeks, but it's been some weeks, huh, Coach?
Yeah, it's been, they're two very different weeks for you guys. It's been very exciting, and the Jets have certainly played some very good football. for me, I live in Fort Myers, and we just came through the worst hurricane in history. And we all got beat up down here a little bit, myself included. So we've gone through 3 very, very difficult weeks. I fortunately have survived it pretty well. I kind of fought through it, but I took a beating. But I have been able to keep up with the Jets. I've been able to watch them, and it's been exciting. And it's actually brought some real joy to what's been a pretty tough time for me personally. Thank you. Because we just got beat up here. But the Jets have made it exciting. They're actually better after 6 than I thought they would be. They're kind of even a little bit further ahead than I expected them. And they've got a couple young guys on that football team that really are playing like we all hoped they would play. And they're actually doing that. And that's exciting to see.
Absolutely, Coach, 100%. Kevin, I mean, the last time I saw you, we were at the stadium together, and, it wasn't exactly what we thought in that Ravens game. But since then, the Jets have put it together. They've leaned on the running game like we so often ask them to do. Lean on these backs, protect your quarterback. What have you seen from this team so far, and particularly last week, that's getting you excited here?
Complementary football and a team identity. You can see that the offense has started struggling in the last couple games, and the defense has tremendously picked it up. Just keeping the score, always within striking distance, always the ability to get the run game going. The other thing I've been impressed with is the offensive line, man. How good. We only threw the ball 6 times in the second half. Dwayne Brown, seeing a 37-year-old man get in front, that Michael Carter run on the sideline with Dwayne Brown on a toss was beautiful. You could watch that play a million times, just watching them get in front and seal. And this 2-back offense is just, tearing defenses apart right now. And watching this team, these young guys mature, like you said, I'd like to shoot a quick question over to Coach. You were there when Herm was there, and you had that big draft class of 2000 with a lot of young players, right? Abraham had to come in, Ellis came in, Lavernius Coles immediately had to step in and kind of fit in a role. And then the very next year, you get Santana Moss and Kareem McKenzie, another couple young guys. Talk about what it's like to coach a young team that also is winning. How do you keep them not get too excited, pay attention to the details, those things that you got to do with young players? It's
a good question. It's normally a combination of young guys learning how to play the game, because the National Football League's different. It's not the game they play on Saturday, guys. The grown men play on Sunday, the grown men. And you have to get some veterans to help these guys along the way. And then you have to coach them, put them in positions where they're able to excel. One of the things that the Jets are reminding me of a little bit right now, if you go back in modern history, now I'm not going to go back to Joe Namath, but since the time that I was there, when I came in 2001 through 2012, we were in the playoffs there at one time for six times. And every single one of those times, we were a very good running football team. Don't forget, Kevin Mawae and Curtis Martin. Then you go back to Damian Tomlinson and Alan Fanikin, the Brickshall Ferguson and Nick Mangold. We led the league in rushing. We were good on defense. I had kind of an all-star team that could contribute. So when you're able to contribute in different ways and control the clock by running the football, and then being able to get some big plays in the passing game, if you can, and move that way, that is a good recipe for winning games. And that's a little bit what I've seen lately out of the New York Jets. So it excites me that it can take me back to some times when we won a lot of games doing that very same thing.
Absolutely, Coach. And I had a question for you two on that, because about running the football, I think a lot of people forget that LaFleur is a first-time offensive coordinator. This is his first gig, and he's building his offense. Can you tell people how difficult it is? Because they think these guys just sit there and just go, here, I'll just.
All right, we lose him?
Yeah, we lost him a little bit. Go ahead, Kev. We'll let you take over, buddy.
No, I mean, but
It's a good question. He's got a good point.
Yeah, well, but I mean, you saw like multiple two-back sets, right? Like Curtis Martin and Lamont Jordan, and then you saw like every time we had Thomas Jones, we had another guy, Joe McKnight, where you see like that interchangeable change of speed. If you put them on the field at the same time, they're a little unpredictable of how they're going to be used. Like, can you talk about like that complementary back system that we're seeing with Carter? And
Sure, I like it a lot. I mean, I know my best years when I was at the New Orleans Saints, with we had a two running back system, that really with Mark Ingram and oh, come on, help me, a real good player for them.
Sproles, right?
Yeah, pardon me?
Sproles, wasn't it Darren Sproles?
No. Just recently, still there, still playing right now.
Oh,
real
Kamara,
good running back.
Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, Alvin Kamara. So we had Kamara and Mark. I mean, we ran the ball. Obviously, with Drew Brees throwing it, but yet at the same time, that has been a good thing. I thought that this second year with the new offensive coordinator, you would really want to look for his maturity, how he matured and developed as a coach. And what I'm seeing now, I'm seeing more versatility from him. Last year, I thought sometimes it's like like he'd rather pass the ball than go to heaven. I'm thinking, come on, mix in a run once in a while. And now I'm seeing this. I'm seeing a development. It's not quite there yet, but you're seeing it. You're seeing more and more, and some different looks. And I think that's exciting. And I know the players like that. They get into that. They want to see that because when you can put them on the field, and they feel they've got a little bit of an advantage, they swell up, and then they're hard to beat. That was the thing that I believed that I could do very well. I mean, I could design plays. I used to stop and say, these guys can't beat us. I'm telling you, they can't beat us. There's no way. If we do this right, they can't stop it. That's what you're beginning to see, and you see that through the running game a little bit. Now I think you'll see it move into the passing with play action and the RPOs and all that type of thing. What I haven't quite seen, and I believe you're going to see it, for this young man, I still have some of my questions with the QB spot. But he can throw that ball deep, and the Jets have got some guys that can run. My guess, I'm hoping, look out, coming up for some deep balls, but the Jets can do it. They've got the speed, and this guy can throw it deep. So I'm kind of expecting that. And when teams are watching you run the ball, they know they've got to get that secondary up there to help. So you start seeing some 3 deep, you see some 8-man fronts, you get out of the 2 deep look a little bit. Now, let's go deep. Let's hurt them deep a little bit. So I like that varied approach, where you've got lots of things coming at you. And I think the Jets, they're not there yet. I'm not putting them, I'm not painting this picture that it's there, but it's on the right track. I'm sure of that. I mean, I think I know offenses a little bit. I was with Dan Marino his whole career. When then I came to New York, we had Vinny Testaverde and Chad. And then we had a guy came along, Brett Favre. Well, then I went to New Orleans and we had Drew Brees. So I think I know what that offense is supposed to look like. And I'm seeing the Jets. Are they there? No. But I'm seeing some movement in that direction. And if that's the case, as I said before, if I were a fan, I couldn't wait to get to that stadium. They're an exciting team to watch.
Absolutely, Coach. And the maturity of Zach Wilson, too, really surprised me. Green Bay plays that soft cover defense, and they try to force the quarterback to make a mistake. And I didn't see Zach push the ball and make too many mistakes. I think he took what the defense gave him. But something that I really liked from Zach, the offense was really dead until that big play to Corey Davis down the field. And I felt like as a fan watching it, it was just a big, deep breath. And I was like, finally, they could start getting rolling. And then Brees took it all the way there. In games like that, Coach, we could see some frustration from players because the Jets are so talented offensively. How do you work that in? How do you keep guys pumped up enough when they're not touching the ball?
Well, that's an interesting point. Let me give you one thing about Green Bay. Let me say something that I observed. And I've been to Green Bay a bunch of times. In fact, I don't think I ever lost up there. I had a good record up there in all the years I coached. Here's the thing that I saw the other day. When I'm watching that game, I'm thinking to myself, Green Bay doesn't want to hit anybody. Watch any good play, and you'll see. Watch Green Bay come up and tackle. They didn't come up and swarm tackle and hard tackle. They didn't want to hit anybody. I'm thinking to myself, if the Jets just believe in yourself, believe that you're a little tougher than these guys, because right now today, I think you are. And I think that showed up on Sunday. I think the Jets were the toughest football team out there, and that showed up. So they went into Green Bay and beat them in their backyard. But when I watched it, I'm thinking, I'm not sure Green Bay wants to hit anybody out here today. This is how I felt. It'd be like, please let me play these guys 6 times a year. That's just how I felt. And I know Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback, and I get all that. But every time you turned around, one of those Jets defensive linemen was smacking them. You got to love that. So, and plus when you get guys that you have to create little bits of roles for them. The great thing about the NFL, everybody's a good player. They're all good. Some much better than others. Give everybody a little shot and get them something. Put them in a spot where what you're asking him to do, he can do. Now, look out if you get that accomplished. Look out, because then that guy's going to be pretty good.
Absolutely, Coach. And also, you just mentioning that, you're talking about the defensive line smacking these guys around. One player that's emerging now as a star is Quinnen Williams, who's second in the league in sacks with 5 right now. What have you seen from his development and his growth now that the other Jet defensive linemen are showing up and he's getting more favorable matchups?
He's somewhat, to be real honest with you, I really didn't know that much about him. To tell you the truth, I really didn't. I know his history, he had a nice history coming in, but I just never really, I didn't get to study him all the time. I didn't really, like when I used to when I worked in the media. But all of a sudden, this guy's jumping off the page. I mean, I watched the game just as a fan, and I love his technique. I can tell one thing. It looks to me like, and I'm not there to really give you an honest answer about this, if this is right or not. But this looks like a guy that's really paying attention to how he's being coached, because he's showing some technique and fundamentals. This isn't just running in there and just playing raw talent. He's really showing some fine executed technique. So this guy, to me, is whoever's coaching him is doing a heck of a job, in my opinion. I think that's something that should be known. I'm impressed, and so I like seeing coaches get the job done, and I think whoever's coaching this young man, we should take our hat up to him, because this guy is doing things the right way. Now he's playing with aggressiveness and he's showing technique and that type of stuff. Boy, there's a good window for this kid.
I think the seeds were being planted last year. We were all waiting, because Saleh did such a good job with San Francisco's defensive line. We were all waiting. When were they going to show up? When were they going to show up? And it seems like now that guys are coming back healthy, they're maturing. John Franklin Myers, Carl Lawson is. It seems like he's coming back and recovering each and every game from that blown ACL. Kevin, we had a conversation with someone online about Quinnen Williams, and they were doubting, saying, remember this conversation, saying he hasn't done anything. What about what he's doing now, Kev? What do you like from Quinnen Williams and this Jets defensive front?
Well, he's not just doing it for himself. He is doing tremendous tackles for a loss, 2 sacks. But on those twist plays, anytime you're paying attention like that, when Rankins came around him, and this is one where they play the video in the locker room like 100 times during film breakdown, where Rankins did the twist right off Quinnen's ass for the sack. Literally, there might have been this much space as he did the twist, and there was nothing but Rodgers in front of him, where Quinnen collapsed the pocket and left Rankins the free hit on the quarterback. It was beautiful. But he's also doing multiple things. He's going outside, right? He's coming inside. He's taking 2 blockers. He's the variety of moves and stuff he's doing. Congratulations. I think he's 24 years old, right? Congratulations to him and all his accomplishments. I know he got married in the off season, still kept his head on straight. All these players had to go through COVID and had to have a level of discipline and everything over the last couple of years. So to mature in this environment and become a dominant player by the age of 24, hats off to him. Comes from Alabama and Saban's system, right? So, good for him. He's had a lot of good coaching over the years. I saw a quick question down in the comments I'd like to throw over to Coach. So people with questions, throw them in the comments. Happy to throw them out there. Coach Westhoff, have you got to see much of the Buffalo Bills And the question is, if you were going into a game against this year's Buffalo Bills, how would you approach that game?
I'd make sure I go to church the night before. These guys are good. Boy, they're good. I think they're really talented all the way around. Their defense has gotten better. They put pressure on the quarterback. I love their quarterback. I think Allen is really special. I mean, he went to Wyoming, where I went to school, so I know him pretty well, or I know a lot of him. I love him. Great big kid. He can run. He jumps over guys. He runs through them. So they're a very, very talented football team. They're going to be a real factor. There's some interesting things. I'd really love to study them. But I'm still convinced that you could line up and pound them just a little bit. Just a little bit. I'm not sure of that. I'd have to really study that. But that intrigues me. But I picked Buffalo. My preseason picks, I picked Buffalo to be the Super Bowl champs. And I think they're on course to do that very thing right now. But long football season, 17 games is a lot of games, and there's a long way to go. So we'll see what happens. But I'm very, very impressed with Buffalo. Very.
Absolutely. It looks like they're on their run. But like you said, there's a long season. You never know what can happen. Coach, you know special teams better than anyone, and it goes under the radar, especially in the modern game. What could you tell us about Coach Boyer and what he's doing with our special teams unit right now? Because the Jets seem like they're way more sharper on special teams than they've been in a long time.
Yeah, I think he's done a nice job with him. I know him. I drafted him. I mean, so he's my guy. I went to University of Arizona. I was at Miami, and I went down to Arizona and worked him out, and I drafted him. He made our football team, played for me. And so I kind of consider him one of my guys. I'll tell you the most impressive thing that I saw last week. Early in the game, don't forget, Green Bay blocked the Jets' punt. Green Bay blocked ours. I mean, I was sick. I was sick to my stomach. But what he did, I have to give him credit, he rallied the troops. He pulled them together. A lot of times a play like that will destroy you for the day. Your special teams will be in the tank. He didn't let that happen. He brought them back. They made the field goal block. They did a great job in their coverage. They went and blocked the punt and got a touchdown out of it. So he helped turn that around, and it was really pretty impressive. I did a couple of weeks ago, a gentleman, I can't tell you who it was, to tell you the truth, from the NFL, who I believe is the brains behind the NFL, this guy, and called me about how to make picking a little more difficult because the percentages are so high. We talked about a particular way, and also about onside kicks, about how to do that. So I gave him two ideas that I think he's going to propose to the competition committee, though I kind of think it would help the game be a little bit better. But what the Jets did on that field goal, they had great technique. They dropped shoulders, they got in the seams, and they pressured the soft spots. They created a little bit of a soft spot. One thing that it just jumps out at me at Green Bay, the little things that you have to be physical on. They're not physical. They were not last week. I mean, that was a soft, they split that offensive line, drove them back, and blocked the field goal. It's a gigantic play. See, you don't have as many plays today that you used to have, that I had. You just don't. So you have to manage the situations. Because of the new rules, with kickoffs are mostly touchbacks, so the ball starts on the 25. It doesn't take much to get up to 50, so therefore you eliminate one or two punt returns a game. That's the punts and punt returns. I'll give you exact number. I'll tell you exactly my point. My first 30 years in the National Football League, my first 30, okay, not counting PATs and field goals, not counting those plays, I averaged 22 plays a game. 22 plays, okay? Now, my last 2 years when I was with the New Orleans Saints, 7. I went from 22 to 7. And you see, I'm not counting the kickoff for a touchback. I'm 74. I can run down the damn field on that play. Come on. Give me a break. I get guys in my development could run down there, please. That's just the way it is. So the key thing, and you don't have as many plays. So the ones that you have, you really better be geared in. And if you can make those work, just like you guys were talking about, if those could be contributing factors, gigantic advantage in the football game. I used to get 22 or 27, 25 chances. I had 3 or 4 kickoff returns every week. Well, I used to have, when I had, Joe McKnight and Brad Smith and Leon Washington Justin Miller, I used to think, please kick off to me, please, because we're going to get you. We're going to run something back. We led the league in starting field position. I had 9 different guys that led the National Football League in returns. That helped us win a lot of games. It helped us. It wasn't the only reason, but it made a big difference. Now today, with the fewer plays that you have, and you can contribute some, whoa, look out. That's an advantage. Because right now, when I'm seeing the special teams in the National Football League, it looks like a lot of them are just cashed it in. They line up and just go through the motions. They don't do much of anything. I think some of the guys are not doing a very good job coaching.
Now, Coach, talking about being into it, one of the players that I think gets very animated and excited, seems like he's coming into his own, is punter Braden Mann. He was pretty productive as a punter in college. What have you seen from him in the pros, specifically also this year and recently, where you've seen some change in his game?
I watched him in training camp when I was there, and I was impressed with his technique. He's got, when I look at a kicker, a punter, what I look for is a guy that does not have a lot of moving parts, like the good golfer. He's got a nice, precise, and concise golf swing. That's what I like to see. When you look at a guy like that, and I like his technique. Now, as he gets better and better and more confident with it, then you see more explosive. I believe he understands how to kick the ball, how to get the ball to the sideline a little bit, how to keep the ball inside the 10-yard line. It looks like he's developing in that. So I think that this guy's got a lot ahead of him, and I'm very much on his side. But I've seen some improvement in him. But I liked what I saw in his basic technique, so there's no reason he shouldn't be a pretty good punter.
Absolutely. Do you want to do any more fan questions, Kevin, or do you have a personal one for Coach?
No, I mean, you brought up one of the fan questions was around the quarterback and Zach Wilson. I mean, when will you feel like, or maybe there's specific areas that you would like to see him improve, or maybe it's just when you see this from him, he's got it. So when you're looking at your quarterback, I mean, you referenced some names. A lot of those guys established, right? Marino, Breeze, Vinny.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Yeah, they were pretty good, yeah. But when you got a young quarterback, when do you know the light's gone on?
Okay, I want to see when he throws that ball, when you have to have it, and his receiver is fairly well covered, but yet he makes the throw that puts the ball in the one spot, the only spot that the defense can't cover, because that spot exists. And Marino used to always say, excuse me, he used to say, you can't defend a perfect pass. He said, if I throw it perfect, I don't care how you're playing them. You can't stop it. But what I want to see, when they have to have it, they've got a good drive going, and they're fairly well covered, but he puts that ball right in the one place that nobody can stop, and his guy makes the play. That's what I'm going to look for. When I see that, I'm going to jump up and down. And I think that's, I think he's got a chance. We'll find out. But those are the types of things that you want to see. Can he make that play? Can he do that? Because that's going to come up. That's going to come up. You have got to be able to do that. So it's a long way to go. There's a lot of football left, and we're going to find out. But that's what I'm looking for.
Wait, I'm going to ask you a really hard question now. All right?
Go ahead.
All right. Jets or Miami making the playoffs?
Jets.
Oh,
there we go.
Ties to Miami, so I didn't know.
No, don't get me wrong. No, I love Miami. When I was there, I loved it. Don't get me wrong. I have a lot of respect for Miami. I believe if the National Football League had a race, Miami would win. That's a very fast football team.
Yes.
But I said this before the season. I went to both of their practices early. I was at both places. And believe me, I spent 16 years at Miami with Coach Shula and with Dan every play. I loved it there. Okay. The Jets had a better practice. I'm just telling you what I saw. The Jets had a better practice. I'm not being critical of a player or a coach. That's not what I'm saying. I liked the way the Jets ran their practice. I mean, it's only a small, little tiny thing, but it jumped out at me. So my thing was, if the Jets can just keep going and don't get discouraged, because that's a tough part of the schedule. A lot of people didn't think the Jets would win one game, alone 4. A lot of people believe that. So this team is, and I watched them practice. I saw some good things. better, frankly, than I saw when I was at Miami. Does that mean I think they're a better football team? I don't know. It's a long way to go. We got to find out. But I feel that they're getting off to this kind of a start if they can stay healthy. Plus, don't forget they lose their quarterback. And they go on to do a good job. They really did. You got to kind of give them some credit. And I can still go back to my years at both places. But when you're in New York and you can win, there's no place better. I loved it. I mean, it was the greatest. I used to love to go to Penn Station. I mean, it was the best ever. Okay, the people get excited coming out of that tunnel and that crowd, and you've got a chance to win. Come on, guys, it's as good as it gets. As good as it gets. So I believe that if I had to pick somebody, I'm not going to bet my boat, but I believe the Jets are going to win.
Now, Coach, we've been singing the praises of the Jets now, but Euros and Simon, I'm going to combine it into a dual part question here. Is what's one thing about this current Jet team that you think they need to improve on, and how do you think they match up against Bill Belichick and the Patriots in 2 weeks?
Well, it's a really good question. That's a really good question. The one thing I think they need to improve on. Okay. I want to see them key penalties. I think sometimes that bothers me a little bit. I think there's a little bit of discipline. It's not bad. I think that's a little bit of a factor. I'd like to see them. I think they've done a better job controlling the clock than I expected. So that kind of jumps at me. Creating turnovers, I think I'd like to see that. I'm always in favor of that. So, and I'm not really sure where they rank in that, to be real honest. But that's something I like to see. And I know one thing. Here's what you better be prepared for when you play Bill Belichick. Bill, every week, has a totally different game plan. He's going to do everything he can to defeat what you do best. And whatever you do best, he's going to try like hell to beat that. Because he knows if he can get that, he's got an edge on you. But that's not the same Bill Belichick coach football team that was there when I was there, when they had Tom Brady. This is a different team. This team can be beat, but you got to get to the quarterback. I think if you can get to that quarterback, which I think the Jets can get there with 4, I know they can get there with 5. But if you can do that, then I like the matchup. But when you get ready for Belichick, he's gonna try everything he can to make sure that he beats your best guys. I'll tell you what, I think they can get a little bit of edge on him. I think the Jets can edge him in the kicking game. I think you can run a fake against them. But Bill doesn't want to have to win a game like that. I used to know I could beat him. Trust me, I had tremendous respect for him. But I knew when I was going against him that my chances, I thought I could edge him every time. I could block his kick. I knew I could do something. He would be afraid I was going to run a fake. I wasn't going to run a fake. I didn't have a punter could punt the ball out of the damn building. It was terrible, the guys we had back when I was there. I had everything else, but I didn't have a good punter. And so I used to do all this crazy stuff. And he'd be yelling, watch the fake. And I'm thinking, well, thank God, because I'm not going to run a fake. I'm just trying to punt the ball. But I think that could be an edge. But you better get ready, because he will attack whatever your best guy, he's going to try to destroy him. So your best football players, they better have the best week of practice they ever had when you get ready to play Belichick.
Hey, quick follow-up question. I have a quick question. I don't know how many Jets games you've got to watch. Hopefully a lot of them, Coach. This Sauce Gardner guy that we got at cornerback, and you got to see Aaron Glenn, one of my favorite Jets. Aaron Glenn's one of my favorites. And then we got Revis right after Aaron Glenn, right? We've been pretty lucky.
They were pretty good.
Yeah, we were pretty lucky as Jets fans.
They were pretty good.
Aaron Glenn to Revis. And then we watch this 6'2", long, lanky corner Sauce Gardner out there. And it's like, holy moly, it seems like we got another one. Like, just watching him play, what have been your thoughts? It's 6 games, right? So,
right.
Like Bill Parcells would say, don't put him in the hall yet, right?
You're correct. Yes, he would.
Yeah, but
I only can go for the little bit that I've seen, and then watching him in practice the day when I was there. I was impressed with how he practiced. he was very diligent. I mean, he really worked hard. I thought. I mean, I only saw a little bit. I'm just giving you a little bit. I don't have the whole picture, but I liked what I saw. But this guy's off to he looks to me that he's very fundamental and that he understands what the defense is asking him to do. Because remember, each defense, you have a very specific role. That's the thing. Like I remember when I was at Miami and we had Madison and Surtain, two Pro Bowl corners. Yep. But they both played the defense. Whatever we called, they played that look exactly the way it was supposed to be played. And I think I'm seeing a little bit of that from this guy. So that kind of excites me a little bit. Now, he's going to get pressured more because people are going to start to do more motion and that type of stuff, and they're going to try to put pressure on him by making him, to find out what he's going to do by shifting in motion and that type of thing. That's why they do it. They shift and all of a sudden they say, okay, he's got to do this. So that'll be interesting to see how he develops as that goes along. But it doesn't look to me like that there's too many roles that he's afraid of. And I see a level of versatility. I haven't studied him, but I see kind of a guy that can do some different things, and that excites me some. So, I'm not ready to put him in that category with Joe Rivas, but this guy's a pretty good football player, and I can understand why you're excited, and you certainly should be.
No, when you start a Miami game with a safety coach, like when that's like the first play of the game, man.
I love the hit. I love the tackle.
Oh, yeah.
It was a great tackle. I mean, it was. I know. I know the QB. I can't his name. It just skips me.
Bridgewater.
Teddy. He was at the Saints when I was there, and he's a good kid. But you can blitz him and give him some trouble. He turned around, bam, he got hit. Lights were out. I mean, lights were out. It was just a good, clean. But the thing that I liked, he got there so fast. Yeah. It was it was boom. There was no change. Teddy turned around, bam, it's out. See you later. See you next week. That was a great play. So you make some plays like that, you're going to get noticed. This guy's got a lot ahead of him.
Absolutely, Coach. One of the things I'm seeing from Sauce is that he's just super confident, and he's scaring me in a good way because I'm actually seeing him bait quarterbacks as a rookie 6 games in. You could see him drag a step behind, and as soon as the ball's thrown, he's attacking. And for the last 2 weeks, he's jumped routes. He's absolutely outstanding. But one thing I also wanted to ask you, Coach, a question coming in from our good friend El Chapo. He's the one that designed this nice Jets Guru thing. He's an amazing Jet fan. He wants to know, in this me age of players, especially as the season gets going and, everyone wants to feel like a contributor to a winning team. What do you feel about guys who complain about not getting enough touches or not playing enough to the media?
If they complained to the media, I wouldn't even want to talk to them because that would really irritate me. I made it clear to anybody that I coached that everything stayed within house. I actually stood in front of the media. I covered this in my book, and I actually lied and told the media I wouldn't throw the player under the bus. I didn't do that. And I was pretty tough on him, and I was no day at the beach. I was hard to play for, but I'm not going to throw him out in front of the media. I do not like that. It's what happens in the locker room stays in the locker room. NFL football is a tough business. It's the greatest game that there ever was. It's more cerebral than any other sport has ever been. That's the reality. You don't think it is? Don't tell me that another sport's even close, because it's not. There's nothing. You go from what I'm a baseball fan. Okay. So I'm playing for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and they trade me to the Philadelphia Phillies. Okay, so I go over there. I'm going to play third base. I'm batting 280. I'm going to bat fifth in the lineup. And the manager says before the game, hey, if I touch my hat, steal second base. Okay, you get traded from the Pittsburgh Steelers to Philadelphia Eagles. You got an 8-inch notebook to know the next day. Our game is a tough game to know. It's a cerebral game. It takes everything to get involved in our game. So to me, that's what you have to love about the game. So quit complaining and play the game the way it's supposed to be played. It's a tremendous opportunity. I mean, I'm the most proud person that I had all the years that I had, and to be able to coach 657 games. And I think I did it very well. And I'm extremely proud of that. But am I gonna ever complain about something to the media when I was coaching? Absolutely not. That drives me crazy. So I have zero patience for that. Zero.
Absolutely. I think too, Coach, with what the Jets are putting together, I just don't think it's needed.
No.
You see Zach Wilson, he's trying to put it together. He's not pressing, he's not making a lot of mistakes, he's keeping the turnovers low. I mean, Corey Davis led the game in receiving last week, and he had 2 receptions for 58 yards. So I think that patience is the key here as the offense develops. And I feel the same way as you do, Coach. I think everything needs to stay in the locker room. Us as fans, we love interacting with players and hearing from them, but we definitely don't want to hear things like that, especially when we're 4-2. But with that being said, Coach, I gotta get a prediction out of you for this Jets Broncos game. Can you put a score and kind of what you see happening during the game?
Yeah, it's interesting. A couple of weeks ago, I didn't think the Broncos could beat anybody. I really didn't. But last week, I'm watching them play against the Chargers. I saw an improved football team. Of course, they couldn't have got much worse, to tell you the truth. But their defense is pretty good. They're not easy to run against. They're a little bit of a challenge. You're going to have to really dig in to run the football. I think they're vulnerable to play action passing. I think their linebackers are good football players. I don't think they're great in coverage. So I think I would attack that part of them. I believe that the Jets' defensive line can get to the quarterback. I think they can get to, help me.
Russell Wilson.
To Russell, who I think is a good football player. Last week was the best I've seen him play. And I think they're making some strides to get him on track. If you can get to him and pressure him, and I think the Jets can do that with a 4-man rush. So I think the real key there is going to be in that what the Jets can do. The altitude up there almost negates a lot of the kicking game. Because everybody, all punts will be good, all kickoffs will be touchbacks, though it takes a lot away. Don't be afraid to try the long field goal. Now, Denver will try it. Denver will try that. With that rush that the Jets can put on, the Jets can block another field goal. So that could be a big play if they can do that. So I think it should be a closer game. A couple of weeks ago, I would have thought the Jets would go out there and beat the heck out of them. I think Denver's a little better football team than them, so it's going to be a pretty good fight. But you can get to Russell Wilson, hit him with some play action pass to help the running game. Then I think that can make for a very good football game. I believe the Jets should go out there with a little bit of confidence. You take away the pressure early. Denver's going to try to come out and do something big early. They're going to let Wilson crank one up and try to beat you deep. Something to get their momentum going. If you can stop that and fight them, I don't think Denver can beat them in a head-to-head fight for 4 quarters. I don't believe they can. You got to make it a head-to-head fight for 4 quarters. That's going to be the key. And will that happen? I'll be really anxious to see. It's a tougher game than I would have predicted a couple of weeks ago. I thought that's would beat the hell out of them. Right now, Denver's improved a little bit. They showed me a little something last week, a little better than what I was expecting. I didn't quite expect to see that. They played better than I thought. So it's going to be a fight. It's a great place to play. It's a great place, fun. I used to like to go there. It's a good stadium. It's an exciting place, and it's a big game. So to me, this is a game the Jets can win. They can lose this game, but they can also win this game. You win this game, and all of a sudden you start talking 5-2. Look out now. So I think that's what you have to see. Let's come out. Let's go out there and try to beat them every play. The Jets showed me an element of toughness last week, and I love that. I just firmly believe the Jets on last Sunday were not even close. Were the toughest football team. They beat them up a little bit. You say what you want. This isn't soccer. When soccer, they get hit, they carry them off of one of those leaders, those leaders things like that. Come on, football's a tough game. No disrespect. I don't mean it that way. But this is a tough game. That's how we play. Now, I want to see the Jets showed that last week. They did. They showed some toughness. So why not start acting like you won the fight? Let's see if you can win this fight. That's what I think is key. Try to create a tough football team. I think the Jets have a little bit of a chance to do that.
I agree, Coach. They threw Aaron Rodgers over the field, all over the
They
field
did.
last week.
Darn right.
Even, they had 4 sacks last week, but even more so, just the hits that he was taking. And the one thing I appreciated about it, and I saw it a lot during the game, is the awareness of the players to roll off, to put the hands up when they were falling because they know what kind of league is being called right now. Just really heady play by the defense last week. Kevin, if you got to put a prediction on this game, give me a score. What do you got?
Oh, it's going to be a very tight game. I think it's going to be a very close game. I'm going to go with the Jets 17-16. I'm looking for probably some RPO, some things to keep this defense off balance. A lot of play action pass. Again, like keep the safeties back. But this is a really good secondary. It's the number 1 pass defense in the NFL. So I think it's another game where you're conservative. One of the things I've been impressed with is the ability for the defense to keep us in the game, rely on the run and specialty. I mean, we've been recovering onside kicks, blocking punts this year. And the Jets don't get too far outside themselves.
Ran a fake. Ran the fake was against Cleveland, right? Ran the fake punt.
Ran the fake punt. Yeah,
that took them for a score, put them ahead. Those are the kind of plays that change the momentum. I think if they could get a play like that in this game, it could be the edge. It could be the difference in a 17-13 game. It could be that difference. If you block a field goal to keep them from tying it, you win the game 17-14, things like that. That I think is going to be the key.
Yeah. Coach, there's a hot topic. A hot topic is this front four was awesome this week in Green Bay. And we know Saleh rotates them, like to keep them healthy. What have you thought about like how that's impacted the game? Pros or cons? Players?
I think it's key. A number of head coaches that have just gotten jobs in these last couple of years have called me. I don't even know some of them, and asked me if I was back in coaching, how would I construct my roster with the way the game's being played today? And I let them know emphatically that I would take some less guys because the game's changed for some guys that I used to have. And I said, I would want the defensive line coach would love me. I'd be his best friend because I would want it, whatever. If he wanted to dress 6, I'd want him to dress 7. If he wanted 7, I'd give him 8. But I'm going to use those. So I like having those extra defensive linemen because I can use them. The way the game's being played on special teams, so you don't have to have a real quick guy to cover kickoffs now because that doesn't exist. So you don't have to have that big open space guy. Like I used to have a lot of little peanuts that ran all around real fast. I had the Larry Izzos and the Bernie Parmeleys and all those kind of guys, the Kenyatta Wrights. I had those guys, Chris Hayes at the Jets. Now I'll take that defensive lineman. And he might be a little undersized. But then you put him in to help guys and to keep them going. So I like that rotation. And I think if the team is smart and they work together, like a special team coach, they used to always say, give me all my little guys. I go, no, not today. It's a different game. But then you have to be smart enough to know that. So I'm gonna take and use on my roster a couple of those extra defensive linemen, and that fits right in to what you're talking about with how they're substituting. So they would love me, and I'm going to give them those couple extra guys, and I'm going to keep them in and keep them fresh. But the offensive line, that wears them out. And at the end of the game, if that defensive line is fresh, you're going to make the play that can win the football game. So I'm very much in favor of it, and I would contribute to that very much because I think the way the game's changed. You have to be smart enough to change with it.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Kevin. Go ahead.
I was going to say, we've seen a lot of Clemens and Huff and stuff like that on special teams this year. I mean, Clemens has been huge on special teams this year.
Yeah.
So, no, that makes a lot of sense to some of the success the Jets have recently seen. So, thank you, Coach.
And he's a beast of a man, Clemens, too. Man, what a giant. That guy's a huge guy. But for this Broncos game, I mean, again, like last week, I'm feeling pretty confident about this game. I think where the Jets struggle the most this year has been stopping the run consistently. They've let guys run on them. This game, I'm a lot more confident. I like what I saw last week. The Broncos lost Javonte Williams. Melvin Gordon has struggled this year. I think Latavius Murray, they just signed him. I think the Jets could really shut them down and then force the Broncos to play the Jets games. go ahead and try to throw on our corners, the best tandem in the NFL right now in Reed and Sauce Gardner. And one thing that's impressing me about the Jets a lot is the communication between Whitehead and Joyner is cleaning up each and every week. You're seeing less mistakes. You're seeing more plays out of that secondary group. So I really favor the Jets in this game. I think the Jets continued the trend of scoring over 20 points a game. And I'm going 24-17, New York Jets with the victory. And then we all get to go back to MetLife for that big, huge division game. And Coach, I just want to extend a big thank you very much for coming on the show again for another time. I literally could sit and listen to you talk for hours. I have no more juice on my battery charger, but we really do appreciate it. Your knowledge of the game, your excitement and enthusiasm to still be a part of the Jets. You know, you hear guys like Bill Parcells when they talk about their time with the Jets, they kind of blow it off as if it didn't exist. But you embrace the New York Jets, and the fans see that and respect that. And we thank you so much. And we'd love to have you on in a couple more weeks as we gear up for maybe a potential playoff run to talk about the team as well.
Now, each week is so important, 1 week at a time. I think they've earned they should have earned everyone's respect. Should we, put them in the playoffs? No, we got a long way to go. You've got a long season ahead of us. But the Jets are exciting. They've done a lot of good things. I think people should be excited. You guys do a nice job, and I'm always happy to talk with you. It's a lot of fun for me, and I'm a fan. I'm still a fan. It was one of the best times of my life. I loved it when I was there. I loved the city. It was a lot of fun for me. I had a great experience at Miami, and I had a great experience at New Orleans. So I gave a lot, and I took a lot out of it. So it meant a lot to me. So I'm a fan. A couple years ago, I was watching a Jets game, and I thought to myself, I'm not sure there's 5 guys on that field that could have played on our real good teams. I don't feel that way today. I don't feel that way right now. I see some guys out there that are very good football players, and they're good. And I see them learning and developing in the playing on that grown man's game that they play on Sunday. And that's where the Jets are headed right now. I hope it keeps going.
Absolutely, Coach. And thank you guys so much for tuning in on YouTube, from Twitter, on Facebook. And if you want to help contribute to the show, write a comment box below. There's a little star right next to it. If you want to help us out, we're going to be growing our merch and other things that we do. We have giveaways for this month. So if you contribute to the stars, we're going to be giving away a special autograph. Someone won a Wayne Corbett and Wesley Walker autograph last month. This month, we're going to have something special for you guys. So we just appreciate all the support from all the fans. We have Shaun Ellis coming on next week, joining us. He had some things pop up in his life. That's how it is. As you know, Coach, I went through a hell of a time there in the hurricane, and we're grateful that he's still with us and he's still doing good. But listen, things happen. That's life. But he will be on next week. We appreciate the support. Thank you, Kevin, as always. Guru joining us. JR, shout out to JR, our producer, who's putting in work, making phone calls, contacting people like a true producer is supposed to do, and to boot, putting together a great graphic and video for us each and every week so we can continue to grow and be one of the best Facebook pages, fan-driven, on the internet. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Coach, we'll see you in a couple weeks. Kevin, I'll see you next week. Jets going to get a big victory this week. Let's go. Jets Guru out.
Okay, guys. Thank you. Good luck.
I can feel it. I can feel it coming in the air. I can feel it. I can feel it.